Hello and welcome to another entry in the Astrologer's Encyclopedia. This is a very special entry. This is going to be the first entry of a person. So in my description, it says compiling information on astrological terms, concepts, and people. So I finally arrived after a couple of months at interviewing a person. This is Seana Aiolupotea, and she is an astrologer. How are you?
Hello, nice to be here. I'm a big fan of the show. Watch
Thank you.
the show, the Encyclopedia.
Yeah. It's a living, breathing, first of its kind encyclopedia. You used to have to buy a book. Now you can just buy a $2,000 MacBook.
Honestly, my type.
You're good to go. It's a good.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. So basically, this is going to be imagine as if it's like your page in the encyclopedia. So probably a good place to start is your background. Where are you from? How old are you? And how did you find astrology?
Yeah, so I'm from Cape Cod in Massachusetts. I'm from Dennis. I'm 23. In my head, I keep saying I'm 24 because I'm over like the 12th house perfection year. And I'm just like, everyone's done with it. I should be too.
Mine just ended. I still say I'm 23.
And I found astrology. Well, I guess I've kind of known about it my whole life because obviously it was calling me. I knew I was a Gemini and everything growing up, but in probably like the last few years of high school, I found out what my mood sign was, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm ready for." Wait, can I swear? That's
yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
Okay.
This is an explicit encyclopedia.
Yeah, I'm also like, I love to just talk whatever is coming out of my brain. My Mercury's in the 12th house, so I just go with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and then in college, I really started learning more about all the planets, the signs, and then eventually I was able to kind of like figure out what aspects were before I like knew what the term was. And it felt like the most like natural, intuitive educational experience for me, where like I find it, I don't know, I find it really cool how I'm able to learn about it with like making the own connections within my head and then like discussing those connections with other people. And yeah, I've been reading charts for about like 3 or 4 years.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So we're like right around the same age and from around the same area, which is kind of funny that we know each other through a mutual person that you went to college with. But anyway, that's besides the point. You said you always knew you were a Gemini. Were your parents into astrology, or your grandparents or anything? Or like, how did you?
Yeah, my mom has always been like agnostic, spiritual, and she was really into being an Aquarius. So she told me my
as they all are, I think.
I literally she's like, I'm different.
Yeah.
But
every Aquarius is different and they're all
yeah. So she kind of told me a little bit about it, and then she was always like, Seana's so special. And I was like, ooh, I'm special astrologically. So from there, I just grew a lot of interest in it and found a lot of like solace.
Were you like a classic Gemini kid? Were you like bouncing off the walls everywhere? Like what
I definitely wasn't. I was
really?
like, I was a Gemini to myself, which makes a lot of sense in my chart. But I definitely exhibited my Cancer rising qualities.
Cancer rising, right? So that puts the sun in the 12th. Do you mind if I show your chart?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Yeah. So with my sun in the 12th, I like knew I was a Gemini internally, subconsciously, but not a lot of other people really saw it while I was growing up.
Yeah, that's like a really good like 12th house manifestation, I think, is especially because you would think like I would, or maybe I wouldn't, but someone might look at this chart and say, oh my God, Mercury can join the sun in Gemini. This person is going to be crazy and loud.
Yeah. And then
like this person's like the Jersey Shore theme song. And then, but it's in the 12th. So that's actually really interesting. So just like a really lively inner life, really like chattering to yourself. That's really interesting. Yeah, this is a really cool chart. I like you have Mercury in Gemini and Venus in Taurus and Jupiter in Pisces with the moon in Sag. So you have like the really strong Mercury, but then you also have the really strong Jupiterian presence.
Yeah, I
Uh,
definitely feel like Mercury, Jupiter, and the moon, I would say, all are like in
front
my
and
head every
center.
single
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it totally comes off in like on your podcast and just talking to you, just like really warm person, really lively, but also just like cuttingly smart and just like really curious about things. I think like I really liked, and it's one of my favorite things about astrology too, is where it's not this like, you know, you go to school and you like take the right classes, then you get the credits, and then you just like can hang your name on the door. It's like astrology is something that you have to learn kind of for yourself, and that's the good and the bad of it.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about a little bit like what your learning process is like and like how you study basically?
Yeah. So I think, well, just a side note, I feel like it's so beautiful how like all of the different astrologers have different charts, so we're all able to read charts with through the lens of our own. So um I feel like through the lens of my chart I can like read a lot of familial astrology
Mm-hmm.
and pick up on parts of people where they feel like unseen or unheard. um so with my practice I learned definitely diving into myself first, because for the first time in my life, I had felt so seen by
Mm.
astrology. And it's interesting to feel seen by like a topic or like something that's happening around us that
Right, right,
like it's only like a conversation between me and my chart, I guess.
right, right.
But yeah, being a 12th house sun, being a Sagittarius moon, and like the T-square in my chart were all points where it just like all added
Show
up.
that again, just so people can see that.
Yeah. So I have an opposition between my sun and my moon. Um, and then from there, I started, of course, reading the charts of the people around me. But I feel like that was something that was kind of happening in my friend group in general. This was
Mm-hmm.
like probably like 4 or 5 years ago. So astrology was really up and coming in like media and on Instagram, like
Right,
all
back in like
Instagram and everything.
2018. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think other people were really interested in where the planets fell in their zodiac signs. But I was like getting really interested by the aspects of these planets and how they were interacting with my chart. And then like it was like all synastry. I just didn't know the
Mm,
name of it.
mm,
Um, and from there, I don't know, I just was able to see myself in my chart and then able to see my friends in their charts. And I realized that I like am able to make these interpretations on my own beyond like watching YouTube videos or reading books or learning like anything like that.
right.
I found a lot of learning through just practicing reading other people's charts.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I really like what you said about like, you know, we all have different charts, and so probably one of, if not the biggest learning tool that we all have is just we have a transit, see what happens, and look at our personality, see how it matches our chart, and
Yeah.
just like see the effects in real life, and you put it like it's a conversation between you and your chart. To me, sometimes it almost feels like an inside joke between me and my chart or like the world. Like
Yeah.
I was and I probably looked, I mean, no one saw, but like if you could see me from like above, I probably looked like an insane person because last December I was in a car crash. And the
Mm.
second I like realized that I was okay, my airbag had come out, my glasses had flown off my face. I like pulled over to the side of the car or to the side of the road and pulled up the chart. And it was perfect. It was like the most accurate,
Oh my
insane shit I'd ever
God.
seen. And I'm just like sitting there laughing on the side of the curb.
Yeah.
Like in Dorchester, just like my car is like the whole
Mhm.
front of my bumper is taken off.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that happened,
Yeah.
but that was such like an astrologer moment
Oh my
also.
god, it was like it was crazy, and it was, and I won't go on too long a digression, but it was a third house year, a Saturn year, and so I get in a car crash. That's like straightforward, right? Like bad things in your local environment. It took me 4 months to get my car back, and it's still not completely fixed
Oh my
because
God.
there's like a part that's coming from wherever. It's like a little computer sensor that's
Mhm.
not like essential to the functioning of the car, but it's like a safety feature.
Gotcha.
So it's this kind of Saturnian thing of like, you know, gotta have eyes everywhere because it's like a computer monitor, and so it's like gotta be really
Mhm.
safe. I could have had the car back by Christmas. I called my insurance in like March, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't give a fuck. Like, your liability is not gonna go up at all. It's just like whatever." But It was very like Saturn in the third.
Yeah, definitely.
Type of
That's
thing.
wild.
But it was really interesting, like the good and the bad in life. You just look at the astrology and it's all right there. And that's really, I think, also speaks to your Jupiter in the ninth. So just this like welcoming of experience. You were in high school and college at the time, so like your college friend group is all into astrology. You're all like learning and growing together, and you take like a particular interest in it. So I'm going to stop sharing this. What do you think astrology is for? Like, let's say someone wants to come, they're like, I think I might want an astrology reading. What do you think it's for? Like, why do you think people should do it?
Yeah, again, so like kind of going back to my point before of like the beauty of there being so many astrologers and seeing it through my own lens of my chart, I feel like when I like if someone were to come to me for a reading, they're like kind of signing up for an natal chart reading. So I definitely focus in on, well, sorry, I'm like having a fight with myself in my mind.
Okay.
So, well, I guess I'm like, on one hand, there's like what I do for astrology, and then there's the purpose of astrology.
Mm-hmm.
So, talking about the purpose of astrology, I feel like it could be anything for anyone. And I know like
Trick
what it
question.
is for me. What?
It's a trick question.
I know, literally. Like there's so many astrologers who do mundane astrology and like I don't know, stuff beyond my scope. And I think that there's purpose in that. And I think that there's purpose in like me going to different astrologers for those things, even though I'm an astrologer. Like I don't expect to know everything about everything, just like I don't expect anyone else to know everything about everything. But personally, I definitely focus in on birth charts. And usually just like in my readings, I just say what I see. Like immediately, I'm like, this is what's going on. Or if they come to me with like a question or a specific topic, then I'll go into that. But I feel like my brand is like, you get Seana's thoughts.
Yeah, that's in line with the Mercury and the Sun. I like that. I like that it's not like, you know, you're letting people who come to you make their own meaning out of it, where it's like you're not going to be like, this is like the information and here's what you have to do with it, and like this is the meaning of life. It's just like,
yeah,
here's what I see, maybe it can help you. You can decide
and
that
I
for
think
yourself.
yeah, I feel like the people who are often reaching out to me either, well, first of all, some of them or a lot of them end up having charts that are very similar to mine or placements that are really like in line with mine, where I'm like, it makes sense. This is like meant to happen, whatever. I'm very like woo-woo too, as we know. But the other part is I feel like my duty as an astrologer is to be like a welcoming presence and someone who is kind of just like giving you the taste of it and like showing you my tricks and everything, so that you people who aren't like inclined to believe in astrology or only know like the basic of the basics will realize like, oh, there's actually substance to this, and there's like a lot of personal self growth gain, all of that there.
That's it's like a secret fish hook to get them to come
learn
more about astrology. I feel kind of the same way. Like I remember I had a reading back in 2018 when I was first getting into it, and I think back on it, and like at the time I was like, I don't even know what the hell I got out of this. But then I think back and it's like, okay, well, this is something that actually got me into astrology. And it's kind of a weird thing where it's like, if you're coming to a reading and you don't know any of the basics, a lot of it's just going to go straight over your head, because it's what the astrologer has to do in a reading is it can be really difficult, because you have to like take this set of symbols and translate it in your head, but also like explain why you're saying the things that you're saying. Because you're not like making it up. Like it's like you're pulling it out of something. But I really like that, where it's just giving people information about their circumstances, so that then maybe they can have that same reaction that you and I did, where it's this sense of like, this thing is crazy. I don't really understand it, but I feel more alive for
definitely
like having understood it.
Yeah. And I think it also, like, I provide different types of readings.
Mhm.
So I started out with written readings. And with those, it's truly like you just get Sayana's thoughts. And it's like their own record of like, oh, I can come back to this, see if it's
Right.
still relevant or if new things are relevant. And then lately I've been doing a lot of Zoom readings where it's definitely more conversational and I'm able to grasp grasp their grasp on astrology, like see what they understand, and then I can go from there and see like how advanced I can get or whatever with explaining. And then there's like more questions and everything.
Yeah, and it becomes kind of a conversation about this person's life in particular, but just like life in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I haven't had terribly many readings, but the ones that I've had have just been like so fun. I had a reading with you actually at the beginning of COVID. We did like a reading swap, which was really fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I remember it was like, I just like had such a good time and I came away with it in like such a good mood. And I was like, felt like I understood my chart in a way that I hadn't before. Which I think it's kind of funny when astrologers get readings. I feel like you might go into it being like, oh, what am I going to learn here? Literally. I'm an astrologer. Like, and that never happens. It's always like something new. It's like some perspective, like going back. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like we're used to being the ones who are perceiving. So when we're the ones being perceived, it's like, oh God,
it's
like
kind of it's uncomfortable. It's weird.
What is it in my chart that I'm ignoring that someone else is gonna bring up?
Right. Usually I'm the one like this. You're like avoiding this or whatever. Yeah. So in addition to readings, you have a podcast that you do called Another Gemini Talking. Do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah. So I recently started it about like 2 months ago, and it's just been something that's been on my mind. I was like, okay, people get Sayana's thoughts through readings, but they need to hear them out loud. So I don't know. I find myself often just in my room alone making these like observations and what I call discoveries because I'm a genius. And I really wanted a place to document them all and look back somewhere that's not my journal, because writing, like, my hand starts to hurt. There's just too much to say, you know?
I get you. I hate journaling because of that exact thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there wasn't really like a rhyme or reason with starting the podcast. It was kind of like, I guess what I'll like do is just see what comes to mind every week or every other week. But lately I've been really into a lot of character analysis for different TV shows I watch. So whenever I watch a new show, I like make up charts for everyone. And I'm like, this could be a really awesome way of like teaching others how to interpret a chart, because I'm not like judging an actual human being. It's just like a character and all of these elements of a personality. So yeah, it's just a really cool and fun way to not only like perceive people on TV shows, but help other people learn about astrology.
Very cool. What have you been watching lately?
Lately, I've been watching a lot of reality TV shows, so I guess it doesn't really pan out with making up charts, but
yeah. They're out in public though. You can judge them like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, that person definitely has some Virgo tendencies.
Have you watched Selling Sunset?
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
Lizzie and I've been watching it, and it's like the dumbest show I've ever seen, but I love it. It's like they just like sell expensive real estate and fight. It's amazing. It's just
I wonder where the fights even come from.
It's really scripted. Like, it's clearly because they'll have like a party for they'll have someone's like baby shower, but it's like only people at their office that show up, and it's like, okay, they definitely just like, this person has no other friends, like, really.
Yeah, or family.
Like, yeah, and it'll just be like, one guy was like proposed to one of the other people in the office, and then another girl like made fun of him for buying a fake ring, and then he was like, you're not invited to the wedding. And it was but you should watch it. It's really good. I think a new season just came out.
I definitely
not sponsored by Selling Sunset.
I recently watched The Ultimatum, Love is Blind.
Oh my God.
But on my podcast recently, I talked about euphoria characters,
Perfect.
which is
Perfect. Yeah.
very on trend.
Yeah. You got to get it while it's hot. We got
Yeah.
we got like 2 more years to talk about it till season 3.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Spotify or Apple Music. Sorry,
Apple
I don't use
Podcasts, I think.
it. Those podcasts for Another Gemini Talking. Or I have an Instagram where it's kind of just my personal / public one, but feel free to follow at Seana the Gemini. And that's usually where I take readings too. I'm trying to figure out, I have a website, but I don't know the logistics of
Yeah,
it all.
it's a
So
lot. Yeah.
yeah, I've been taking readings through my Instagram DMs. So definitely hit me up there.
Very cool. Highly recommend. She's great.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming. Hopefully in the future you can come back. I'm gonna try to get more into like people giving talks here, or if there's like a certain topic that you're really into, like we can talk about TV show charts. That could be an
Yeah,
entry in the
definitely.
encyclopedia. And always come back. Maybe every couple of years we'll come back for an interview. I hope to be doing this for however long.
Yeah, I'm so honored to be here and especially to be the first.
I
But
know you're so special. Yeah.
I definitely hope to come back. This was so fun.
Cool. So yeah, everyone can follow me on Twitter at @the_Astropedia. My readings are now open. I should put a link in my YouTube description. It'll be at the bottom of this video, everything. My readings, my Twitter, my writing. I have a blog also. So yeah, thank you guys very much for listening. I don't know when this is going to be out, so I won't announce the next video. But yeah, thank you very much.